I had a crazy week. You work all day. The one thing we didn't talk about MWC, Pat, is you work US hours, meaning
Yes.
it's a 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. show, but then you eat on Southern European hours. So they want, dinners at 9 and 10 o'clock. And so the other thing is, of course, earnings come out usually around 4 p.m., which means in the US time for me, which means if I'm doing calls with the executives, I'm down 10, 11, 12 o'clock at midnight. So I talked to Charlie, Giancarlo, CEO of Pure Storage that night. And wow, what great optimism. Charlie's always a pretty, he's charismatic in his own right. But, quarter four growth, 14%, 26% growth in 22. So while infrastructure was supposedly, down, while companies are going to spend less on technology, while, the company clearly has a moat, and that is both from the standpoint of giving customers flexibility. And of course, as the flash storage continues to become more and more competitive with traditional storage. And that's really what you're going to hear more about when we talk about FlashBlade E. And I'll leave that one for you, Pat, because I don't want to take everything out of this one. But the growth across the business is really impressive. You had product growth, you had annual product growth. You also had subscription growth, really robust. Q4 subscription growth, 23%, and subscription services across the year, 30%, Pat. So you're seeing another thing that was really impressive was the European and international revenue. It actually grew at like 5 to 6 times faster than the US. And what does this mean? Well, there's two things to this. One is it's FX related. The dollar has weakened, which gave everybody a tailwind after those crazy periods of FX for all tech companies. But the other thing it means is that these markets where there is this higher level of austerity and this greater level of concern for recession are seeing something like Pure Storage as a way to optimize their business. That is pretty interesting. And of course, all this subscription growth and all this, is also a great indicator that the evergreen products from Pure are in high demand. So, for the market, there's another kind of macro factor. And if you look at things like the trend lines with generative AI workloads, we're going to start to see the whole storage category become really interesting, Pat. We talked about this with Micron as it relates to memory. Well, the other thing is all this data has to reside, has to be accessible, and it's not all going to be sitting in hot and warm environments. So the opportunity for storage is going to kind of have a renaissance, I think, in the coming year. And I think Pure is really well positioned to take advantage of this renaissance. And, the company is seeing, ARR growth in a substantial way. They're seeing customer net adds, nearly 500 this last quarter. And the company now is, it's claiming 58% of the Fortune 500. So, my one big takeaway from Charlie was, in the last quarter, it was all about market taking. He shared that with me. It stuck with me. The company is at a size where what it has is a percentage of overall market share, big opportunity to grow no matter what the market conditions are. This quarter, though, I think the company is becoming increasingly confident in its ability to play in that mid-market and in that more traditional solid state, storage space, that it's never price-wise been very competitive. And now all of a sudden it's going to get competitive. I can't imagine that's going to be a bad thing for Pure Storage.
Yeah, great comments. And I'm going to hit on both earnings and FlashBlade E. So first of all, I think people were a little bit disappointed in the forecast when they put it out there. But once their peers, their competitors went out, I think that they realized that it's a tough market. Now, I do think it was a conservative guide. And I do think, every time you think of generative AI and every time you think of NVIDIA driving business, there is a very high likelihood that it will be connected to a Pure system. They were one of the first, if not the first, optimized for these types of parallelized workloads that require just an absolute tremendous amount of performance, but also sucking less power as well. So I think as you look at that too, if you look at all the unstructured data that comes along with not only generative AI, but also the environmental impact that Pure's architecture provides, I'm feeling very good about the company right now. So FlashBlade E, and listen, I have heard this every year for the last 25 years. Well, not the last 25 years. It was hard drives were going to kill optical. But I've heard, yeah, at least for a decade, I think that flash is going to kill hard drives, right? And this very well could be. I mean, we're going to have to see the spinning disk folks and what they bring to the table. But pricing below 20 cents per gigabytes is on par with spinning disk storage. And when you factor in the environmental and the reduced power draw that goes along with this, this is a very precarious position that the spinning disk folks have are encountering, but also a huge opportunity for Pure as well. And it's funny, we look at all the business and all the growth that Pure drives, but they're still only in 58% of the Fortune 500. Okay. There's another 42% they're not in, probably for various reasons. Maybe they don't need the high performance element. They're not really into, maybe they're just locked into one of Pure's competitor. But there is a long way to go, to taking share that you had mentioned. So I see Pure as a market maker, and they're doing this with FlashBlade E. And at least according to your call with Charlie, and unfortunately I couldn't make my call with him, he is going into market taking as well, taking market share. So anyways, good quarter, good opportunities for the company ahead, particularly related to generative AI and reducing that cost point on flash memory with FlashBlade E.